Hi, I'm Lorena. I'm a spiritual life coach and a breathwork teacher, and I'm primarily focused on Neville Goddard's teachings. And I'm here to help you shift your state of being and recreate your reality. If you're interested in one-on-one coaching, you can find the information for that in the description box below. And if you like this video, I would love it if you subscribe to my channel, and then you will get videos like this all the time. Today, we're going to talk about your inner child. So we're going to talk about how to heal your inner child, what it even is and what it means. I feel like sometimes it can sound a bit ambiguous and we don't even know what it really means or where it comes from or why it's important to do something with it. But I think it's really important for changing your self-concept, and I'm going to explain to you why in this video. In short, we'll talk about what is your inner child, why should you do inner child work, how to do it, and in the end, I will also give you some very fun and practical practices and tools that you can use to do inner child healing work. And whilst it's called inner child work or inner child healing, it's actually a lot more simple. It's not as daunting as it may sound. It's not really work, or it doesn't have to be. So let's start with, what is your inner child? Your inner child is really the childlike part of yourself. You know, we're not the same all the time. We have different aspects to ourselves, and we're also shifting through different states all the time. And your inner child, that aspect of yourself, comprises everything that you learned in your childhood. Usually you say before the age of 7. And that's usually when we learn the most, and when those things that we learn during this time make the most impact on us, because we often learn it from our parents. You know, we don't know any better. We don't have anything else to refer to yet. We don't have anything else to compare things to yet. So your inner child may therefore be the part of yourself that is innocent and curious and playful, but it may also be the part that has been hurt before and that has some wounding. Because depending on the experiences that you have made in your childhood, if you've had any trauma, then there is wounding, and that part of yourself may then be hurting. And when I say trauma, what I mean by that is anything that caused a scar or a shift in your self-concept at an early age, especially, that made you feel like you were not wanted, not good enough, not loved, all alone, abandoned, anything of that nature. There's a million other beliefs that could come along with that. And trauma can really be something like physical abuse, but it can also be something like your parents leaving you at the grocery store, which then created the story that you would always be abandoned, or that you're not worthy or not loved. Trauma is less about the experience, it's more about the story that you tell about the experience and the emotional charge that you're left with after. And you know, none of this is your fault. I want to make this very clear. Any wounding that you carry is not your fault, but more on this later. Let's talk about why you should do inner child work, why you should heal your inner child. To me, it has a lot to do with changing your self-concept. As I just said, a lot of us carry wounding from our childhood, me included, which we made it mean something about ourselves at some point. So that could be your parents or caregivers not giving you attention in the moment when you needed or wanted it, and then you didn't get the love in the way you wanted or in the amount you wanted, so you made it mean that love is limited, or that you're not worthy of love, or something along those lines. That you're not seen, that you're not heard, that you're not important, anything like that. The thing is, as children, we only really learn from the people around us, the people who raise us, or the people who are in our direct environment. Because that's the only way we can make sense of the world. We don't have another idea of reality yet. So we don't know any better, and that's why we start embodying those beliefs early on. And the thing is, once we have those beliefs, we start repeating those same patterns over and over again. The next time something similar happens, we make it mean the same thing. And that's also important because we do manifest our lives. So if you have that core belief, you're going to look for proof in your reality of you not being worthy, if that's the belief you already had. You know, you then fear it again and you expect it to happen again. And that's a protection mechanism. And that comes from your inner child. You've been hurt before and you don't want it to happen again. So imagine you now have this belief and it's now solidified, and now you make everything that you encounter in your reality mean that you're not good enough and that you're not important and not wanted. Imagine the impact that has on your self-concept, and imagine the impact that has on the circumstances you create in your life. And again, none of this is your fault, right? This is not about blame. Not at all. You always do the best you can with what you have. But the thing is, once you become aware of those beliefs and once you pay attention to your inner child, you can actually heal them and change them. And when you heal your childhood wounds and when you heal those parts within yourself that felt abandoned and that felt rejected or neglected or scared or unsafe, then you can stop repeating those same patterns because you're not suppressing that anymore. You're now aware of it and you can now actively change it. And this is often the case for beliefs in relationships, but it may also be beliefs about lack in life in general or materialistic things. We all project those things differently and we all have different experiences from our childhood, so there is no one size fits all. When you do inner child work and you heal that part of yourself, you can return to your innate wholeness that was always present, and you can create more happiness in your life. You can create a space where your subconscious leads and you're not constantly trying to control everything with your conscious mind. And it also allows you to go within and to know yourself more, which is really, in my opinion, what this journey is all about, knowing yourself. To me, that's what life is all about. And another thing is that your inner child or your childhood wounding actually is often where your desires come from. You need to know lack to experience abundance and to appreciate it, really. You need to feel fear to experience love. So if you felt abandoned as a child, you want to be in a safe space to love more than anything, probably. That's probably one of your desires then. And that's beautiful. That's beautiful to realize. That's a beautiful desire to have. And that is something that you should experience, that you should embody, that you're worthy of receiving, you're worthy of experiencing, you're deserving of. You're meant to experience that which you desire. And as I said earlier, inner child healing is not all about the difficult and traumatic stuff. It's also about returning home to yourself and reconnecting to that playful and innocent and enthusiastic part of yourself that didn't take things so seriously. It's the part of you that knows joy more than anything. Let's talk about how to actually do inner child work. I've been rambling on and on, but I didn't actually tell you how to do it yet. So the number one thing is creating awareness around it. Awareness is always the first step. Unless you're aware of the quote-unquote negative beliefs that you have, you can't change anything, right? Unless you're aware of the wounding that you have, you can't heal it. So this is really about recognizing when your inner child is speaking and accepting it. It's about integrating the experiences from your childhood and really bringing those to light. So no suppressing of anything. I will say, if there's something really traumatic that you experienced in your childhood, it's best to do this with a professional as well. It's best to do this in a therapeutic context. But in general, assuming that you don't have PTSD, this is easiest to do when triggers arise. So let's take the example, you're dating somebody and they reject you or they ghost you. And your reaction to that will indicate your true state of being. Your reactions always show what you think about yourself, what state you're in, whether you have changed your self-concept or not. So if your initial reaction to that is it may hurt and you're disappointed and you're sad and your heart hurts, but you're not making it mean that you're not worthy and you're not in complete despair, then you probably don't have any inner child wounding around being ignored or abandoned or rejected. Or you've already healed it. But if your immediate reaction to that is not only that you're hurt, but that you also feel like a failure, you feel unwanted, you feel unloved, you feel like you're not good enough, then this, number one, shows you your true self-concept. Because if you truly felt like you were whole and complete and loved and wanted and amazing, then you won't be impacted by that to this extent. Again, it will still hurt, this is not a nice experience if you care about somebody and they reject you or they stop talking to you, but you're not projecting it onto your own worth. And the second thing is This is your chance to really sit with why you feel about yourself this way after this one thing that happened. Because you will see it's not about the one thing. It's happened before. So bring it back to, when was the first time you felt this way? Where did it start? That's your inner child. That's your childhood wounding. And this is what's truly hurting. You're projecting your past experience onto your current circumstances. You are living in the past. So that's an amazing thing to realize, because now you can take your power back. And what's also really important in this is, don't deny the parts of yourself that are hurting. Very important. They want to be heard. You know, if you see your inner child as a person, as a separate person, and your inner child just wants to be loved and seen and heard, and you then actively choose to suppress that, you're not actually healing that part. What you're doing is you're rejecting it again. You're telling this part of yourself that is already hurt, again, I don't care about you, rather than holding space for it and being there for it and reassuring this part of yourself so it can heal, so you can return to wholeness, so you can get back to the self-concept that you're meant to have, which is, I am worthy, I am loved, I am good enough. So these were the basics, how to create awareness, but let me give you some practices and tools that you can just do every now and again in the moment, or, you know, as a regular practice. So what's really powerful is either journaling on this or meditating on this. And journaling can be asking yourself questions to explore what's really going on, just like the example that I gave you before. Meditations can be an inner child meditation. There's lots of visualizations that you can do. I also have an inner child breathwork session, which you can purchase. It's a recording. If you're interested in that, just let me know. You can send me an email or you can message me on social media. And then there's also the so-called Ho'oponopono prayer, which is a Hawaiian forgiveness prayer. You may have heard of it. It's also very good for inner child healing. You can use affirmations and actually talk to your inner child, and this works amazingly in the moment, you know, when it comes up and when you notice, ooh, this hurt part of myself, and then you can reassure yourself, and you can even picture this part of yourself and visualize a child, the version of you as a 5-year-old, for example, and talk to that little being. And this works best when you feel triggered and it comes up in this moment. But you can, of course, also use inner child visualizations just as a regular practice, with or without meditation, with or without guidance. And then the more fun stuff, your imagination. Weren't you much more imaginative as a child? Most people were. Use your imagination. It's an amazing tool that you have. It brings you back to your true self. It reconnects you to your inner child, and it's powerful to manifest your life consciously. And then also play more, have more fun, dance more, do the things that you enjoyed doing when you were a child. And then, of course, therapy or coaching, if you would like somebody to guide you through this, to create awareness around this with you, to support you in it, to hold space for you, that is really helpful as well, because sometimes we can't see everything on our own. And then here's a little practice that I really like doing. I have a picture of myself as a child as my phone background. And that's something that I learned at a retreat a couple of years ago. And that's really powerful because I'm always looking at my phone, as many people are. And in those moments when I talk negatively about myself, when I'm not nice to myself, because, you know, we all do it. We sometimes put ourselves down and talk not so nicely to ourselves. And then I look at my phone and then I see this little being, this little creature, this innocent child, and I'm like, why am I talking this way to her? She doesn't deserve that. She deserves love. And it helps me stop with the negative self-talk. Let me know if and how you practice inner child work. And don't forget, if you would like the inner child breathwork session, then send me an email and you can have that forever. And next week, we're gonna talk all about surrender and the power of surrender and how to surrender to your desires. So if you want to see that, please make sure you subscribe to my channel, and then I'll see you then. Have a lovely week.